Good afternoon and welcome to another programme of Unearthing with myself, Lavinia from the M Word, director and founder, and Yasmin, the social media manager from the M Word. Welcome to our programme. Today's programme is more about thinking about these young people of ours who are going forward after the Easter holidays, thinking about these dreaded exams. And for some, very few people, in fact, they are more than happy to be sitting exams, but generally the population in schools sitting exams are not too keen on the idea of sitting exams. It causes a considerable amount of stress, but also a considerable amount of distress. So who better to ask than Yasmin, who's far closer in age to having left schools not that long ago, to kind of have her input as to what is it like, but also that real pressure from teachers and any educational professionals insisting that you must go to school, because the underlying essence is if you don't go to school, if you don't attend every day, you will not be able to do all your lessons. And if you don't sit at every single lesson, you will not be able to do all the homework. And if you don't do the homework, you won't be able to revise. And if you don't revise, you will not be able to sit the exams, do them to the best of your ability. And if you don't sit the exams, then guess what? You won't be able to go to college or university. And ultimately, that end goal is you won't be able to get a job. Now, Yasmin, is that true?
No, and I can give an absolute perfect example because I ended up not going to my geography lessons because I hated the teacher so much. And guess what? I sat the wrong exam paper and I still passed, so it has nothing to do with the teacher. I had permission from you to go into town and sit in the library, and as long as I was revising geography, it was fine.
So that was an interesting one because
if I hadn't had that experience, I probably would still think I have to go to the lesson. I have to be in the teacher's presence to be able to pass it. And you don't. As long as you have the mindset of I'm going to try and sit down and study some of it, you'll be all right. You just kind of need to take it slowly, and not put yourself in an environment where you won't learn anything.
I think a lot of young people feel under a huge amount of pressure. Did you feel a huge amount of pressure to go to school?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who from? Do you remember who from?
Teachers, head of years, even other peers. I don't think it helps that exam prep starts very early in the year because obviously, it's in the summer that you sit them really. So you had teachers going, every day you don't show up, it's going to affect your exam. Every lesson you miss, if you don't take full advantage of it, you're going to do awful on your exam. And it's like, oh, okay.
That must have felt really frightening at times. Did you feel frightened?
Absolutely, because even teachers will say, if you don't do well on your exams, you won't be able to go to college and you won't be able to get a job. And it's like, I think it's, like we said a couple of episodes ago, it's kind of still of an archaic concept. When teachers were saying you won't be able to get a job, they were envisioning that office 9-to-5 job. And that's not what all jobs are nowadays. So obviously they were saying you're not going to be able to get a job thinking I'm going to get a job in an office or whatever. And my hours aren't 9-to-5 now. I don't work 9-to-5. I couldn't do that. I couldn't work in such a professional environment. So when they were telling me these things, I really thought it would be the end of the world if I could not sit it or do it the way they wanted me to.
Yeah. So just thinking sort of like, I mean, the exams seem to get earlier, right? I mean, there always seem to be mocks coming up, even though you weren't actually in the GCS year. That's the thing that baffled me. there just always seemed to be tests, always seeming to be exams every year. And for me as a parent, I found that baffling, and what is going on here? But also being acutely aware my ability to revise and regurgitate, it would go in and it would go straight back out again. And sometimes it didn't even go in. So I was kind of on a hiding nothing. So when I was thinking about you trying to struggle with it, I was very worried that you would have a similar experience of beginning to have this awful rising panic. This isn't going in. I'm never going to get this.
I mean, I would say exam season, no matter what year you're in, is kind of like a giant game of Granny's footsteps. You know,
Okay.
You turn around, suddenly they're there, and then you think, okay, yeah, I've got a little bit of time. There's a bit of distance. You turn around again, and then it's like, oh, they're literally right in my face. Okay,
yeah.
And I know that learning parrot fashion really is not good for me, mainly because it's too rigid. It's too I can't sit still for such a long time to be able to do it. So the one time I kind of forced myself to do it was a night before an exam, and I think I spent about 4 or 5 hours just revising. And then I got to the exam, and luckily it had been everything I'd revised the night before, but everything else had just gone out the window, and I could not remember it for the life of me. And I don't think it's something that people talk about a lot. When you're in the queue to go into the sports hall or wherever you're sitting your exam, you have other people out loud regurgitating information, which can throw you off. Because obviously the way they're processing it, it's a lot like when you try and read somebody's phone number, they might read it in a slightly different way that you've read it.
Yeah.
The information kind of just gets lost.
That's very off-putting, isn't it? Because like you say, if you go there with a way of doing it, a system of doing it, and then you hear somebody else, you're going to be thrown off. And that's potentially your window, isn't it?
I went into my English exam thinking, oh my God, I've read Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I hate the book, but I've read it. I've persevered with it. I remember all these quotes. And then I had my friend in the queue going, ape like fury. And that was the only quote I could remember the entire exam. And I sat there going, are you kidding me? Now I've really got to kind of delve into this one quote that I can remember. And it was like, I had these entire paragraphs planned, but he got into my head, and that's all I could remember. And it was like, could you not have just listed off loads of quotes? Why did you just do that one?
Yes. So with knowing that things can change very last minute, I like the concept that you had identified revising literally the night before. So it was absolutely pin-pot fresh, ready to go in the morning, because teachers don't encourage you to think that you can do it like that. But here's the thing, you've got ADHD. So I know that if you've left everything to the last minute, that would make sense. But also, if you're struggling to retain information, the autistic side of things and the ADHD, I really get that leaving things to the very last moment, so it's right in your mind, in the hope that the next day it's still there. Whereas teachers encourage you to revise quite early on. And it really does make me feel very frustrated that the concept is that you must revise little and often, as if you're going to wear it and use it for the rest of your life, when in actual fact, tell me the truth, does that happen?
When is the last time I used the Pythagorean theorem? Not lately. Angles, the need of biology, and how the mitochondria is the house of the cell. I don't need that information. It does not help me with my job. It's good pub quiz knowledge. I've got that. But other than that, it does not help me in my job, in my career that I ended up going down. But going back to teachers, I remember loads of teachers would go, it doesn't matter if your house is really busy at home, like if your home life is hectic, just get a table and put the textbooks and a pencil case with paper and you will revise. And it's like, that does not help everybody. Because I remember quite a few times you coming into my room going, "Are you watching TV?" And it was like, "No, I've got to have it as background noise because I just can't focus otherwise." And they go, "Just sit in a quiet spot, a small spot, and you can just revise, and it'll just happen." And it's like, why is it not happening? Why is it not happening for me? Why can nothing go in? You know?
Yeah. And for a lot of people, noise is a familiar background, is the only thing that can actually make you feel relaxed enough to be able to take in information, isn't it? I want to kind of get you thinking a bit more about the pressures that were verbalized, because with the best will in the world, we only know what our children come home and tell us. And a lot of children who are autistic do not feel comfortable explaining why they feel they're failing and then reiterating the pressure they've been under. So a lot of masking goes on, a lot of fawning goes on. So what kind of comments do you remember from teachers that felt quite pressured?
It was always things like, college was a very big thing. So you had your exams that they were kind of forcing down your throat, and then they had college that they were forcing down your throats, and you would have colleges come in and do like little taster days of lessons. And it would always be, I got pulled aside after a taster for an A-level art course. I didn't end up doing it. And my teacher said, "You do know you won't be able to sit this course." And I was like, "Why not?" And I thought, she's going to say, "Because you didn't do GCSE art." That's where I thought it was going to go. "Because you're not going to get the grades to get an A-level. You'll be lucky if you can do a BTEC." And I'm sat there going, "Oh, I haven't even sat my exams at this point, and you're already telling me you're not going to get the grade you need to be able to do that." And so it's already like, so I can't do that then. I can't do a career involved in that because I can't sit the course because you're kind of saying I'm too stupid to do it. Great. That fills me with so much confidence. And it was all very, if you don't get these points, if you don't get 56 out of 90 on your exam, you're going to fail and you're going to have to resit it until you get it. But the way they would always speak about it was almost like, if you don't get it the first time, you're stupid. Like, and they were always like, if you don't get it, I'm teaching you the best way I can. I'm making it as easy as possible. And it's like, do you not realize that in a room of 20 students, perhaps only 15 are going to understand the way you are teaching, but you don't want to change your teaching style so that I can get it, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's a very powerful statement. That's a very powerful statement. And when I was down in the Autism Cafe last week in Cornwall, there was a parent who also happened to be a SEN teacher who had relayed that a parent who had been a head teacher had suggested that most children were just coping in school, which suggested that there was something terribly wrong with that level of pressure. And so if we think about other statements, what other statements did you sort of hear?
You're being polite saying I didn't leave school that long ago. I feel like it was centuries ago, an entire lifetime ago. So I can't, other than like the kind of really damning like things, I can't quite quote, but I just remember it was very, you have to be able to do it, and if you can't, I can't help you. You know, it's
so
kind
the pressure's
of like,
back on you. The pressure's back on you,
yeah.
Yes?
You know Jeremy Clarkson's farm?
Yeah.
Where Caleb's trying to teach him how to use a tractor. Which way do I turn it? I can't tell you. You just have to know. Well, unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. And you've got teachers going, well, you just have to know. And it's like, what do you mean I just have to know? This information, I've got one source of information. And if I can't find it online via YouTube, via whatever else, I'm not going to know this information, you know? And we would constantly do mocks of mocks in lesson.
And what was that like?
It was awful. I hated it. I absolutely hated it, because I already felt like I was kind of going into these exams to fail. So then to get kind of confronted regularly with the information that I am still not getting it, I am still not understanding this information. And then you'd have a teacher kind of pull you over, and even some of the really nice teachers were like, why aren't you getting it? What's wrong? And some would go, is it my teaching style? As if I'm trying to cause offense to them. And it's like, I don't know why I'm not getting it. It's just not, you know, I can't remember all this information. And when I feel confident in my answers, my anxiety of getting it wrong would almost always talk me out of the correct answer, because I was so worried that I was going to have yet another conversation of, why aren't you getting it? Like, we've gone over this. They'd always go, we've done multiple lessons on this. Why don't you understand what's happening? And it's like, I don't know why I don't understand. It's just not going in. And you'd have friends who were sat next to you, and they were just getting like, you know, A's, B's. And I'm sat there going, I've barely got an E. I've barely got an E. And everybody else seems to be getting it. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, exam season or not. Every child who goes to school has that slight anxiety of when homework gets handed back, when like your books have been marked. If your teacher hands it to you upside down so nobody else can see it, you already know. Your heart just drops knowing I've done really bad. I've done really bad. And I know teachers try and do that to make sure nobody else can see. Like, you know, it's kind of try to be secretive about it. But if anything, it feels like it puts you under a microscope. Everybody knows that if you've got it handed back upside down, you failed. They just don't know how bad you failed, you know?
Yeah.
And it ends up kind of making you stand out, and you just go, oh my God, you know? And I'd always have teachers accuse me saying, you're not studying, or you're not studying hard enough. And it's like, I'm sat at home almost tearing my hair out going, why is this information not going in? And then you'd have, I don't know, Johnny from next door going, oh, I haven't had to revise it all and I got an A. And it's like, good for you. I am literally drowning here and I don't understand why.
Yeah. And I would come in pretty much every school evening to catch up with you, to find books everywhere, and, you know, loads of highlighters, loads of highlighted stuff. Lots of things are going on, like, you know, music, TV, the computer. But, you know, once I got my head around all of that kind of needing to be a very necessary background to aid the learning. And of course, at that point, we didn't really appreciate that actually you had ADHD. So silly us, but never mind, move on. You know, that really, knowing how intense you were doing, it was just a replica of what I had been doing. And my heart sank, because I just thought, oh God, this torture just is repeating itself a generation down the line. Why is this so difficult when you know, and I know how hard, you know, we were very good at spending a lot of time, you know, being studious, you know, getting down with the books, and spending hours on it, and it just not being enough. It just never seemed to be enough. And knowing that it didn't matter how much you spent time doing it, it was never going to get the grades that other people, like you say, you know, they didn't do any revision and got straight A's. And I suppose some of my frustration is that I know, as an adult, as a parent, as a clinician, these schools are designed to make it incredibly competitive. You know, who seriously thinks it's acceptable to send children in to go and learn to regurgitate parrot fashion, like you say, algebra, when I have quite a few clients who are young, intelligent, oh my goodness, are they intelligent? And they challenge the very educational system, going, give me something real to learn that makes sense and is appropriate for me learning and acquiring new skills. Now, these children will never be applauded for showing the initiative, because the government is insistent that everybody pitches up, goes to school, 9 to 3 every day until they leave school, and then go and do it at a more advanced level at college, and then go and do it at an even more advanced level at university, and then go and get a job. Now, what I want to come back to you with is, when you have this sinking feeling of knowing that no matter how hard you tried, did you feel that you were going to be successful in achieving results at the end of it with your exams?
Somewhere along the way, I just got the mindset of, you know what, screw it. Whatever happens, happens. If I fail the exam, I don't get deleted off the planet. That's not how it works, but that's often how it feels. And I even now, I didn't think I was going to get very frustrated with this conversation, but it was when people were saying, you are not trying hard enough, you are not studying hard enough.
Yeah.
And I'm going, do you want me to FaceTime you so you can see me doing it? Because I'm doing it. I am doing it. I'm trying so hard. And you're just straight away going, you're not trying. You're not even doing it. And it's like, I'm trying so hard. You don't understand. You know, and so then it got to the point where I had my slight dip where I unfortunately got really suicidal and attempted self-harming for the first time, that I kind of went, you know what? If I fail, that's not 100% on me. It's 50% on them, that they couldn't recognize that their way of teaching was not helping me. It was not helping me, And at the end of the day, I kind of had to realize my parents are still going to love me. My friends are still going to see me as their friend. And it doesn't take away who I am. It's just the fact I can't, on a piece of paper, answer the right question. But knowing how hard I was studying, that happened in year 7. I used to have that English teacher with the spelling test, the dreaded spelling tests. And you and I would sit there. I'd get given the new test, like the questions on Monday. I would have all week, all weekend, and you and I would sit in the garden and we would repeat. How do you spell this? How do you spell this? How do you spell this? And I remember one day getting 1 out of 10, and she said, you didn't even try. And I was like, I was sat there with my mum. And unfortunately, that is when I got called a rather slurful name by another kid in my class, who ended up getting all other 19 children to call me the same thing. And that kind of really affected me, because it was like, I am stupid then. If everyone's seeing it as I am stupid, I must be stupid, and I can't do anything to change that, because I'm trying so hard. And if I'm not getting any smarter, but even now I have moments where I think, oh, I'm not very good at this subject on paper. I'm not good at it on paper. But then you repeatedly go to me, you're really good with your money for somebody your age. And I'm sat there going, yeah, I am good at that. Or, I am good at keeping a house functioning. I am good at, I can make food. I can do all these useful things that actually, you need to survive.
Yeah.
I just can't do these things on paper. But that doesn't make me any less of a person. That doesn't make me a failure, Sometimes it can feel a bit disheartening. Great, I didn't get that A on something, but it's a letter on a piece of paper. What is it going to do to me,
Yeah. I guess it's trying to get that concept out today, isn't it? About the fact that, is it really true that the teachers tell you repeatedly that you must turn up at school, because if you don't turn up at school, you won't get a job? The ultimate aim of this is to be able to get up and out with a job. Now, for me, I know how much studying you did. I also saw you falling apart. And initially it was crumbling, and then we had a kind of bit of a jag where you really crushed, and it was like, right, we have to change school. We can't do this. And for a little while that went really well. And then it was slowly but surely, it became more and more of a snowball avalanche effect. And it got to the point that even though you and I spent a lot of time talking through little ways that we could help support you, i.e., don't go to the school library, go to the library in Woking at that time, you know, where you could be treated very normally as, sure, come in, have a quiet seat and just get on with things. And you would take your headphones and off you go, do all of that. But these little bits of respite were getting harder and harder and harder, because what we didn't really fully appreciate, that as you grew closer to the GCSE year, the pressure was mounting, wasn't it? Really mounting. And I couldn't seem to stop that, because no matter what I did or say, I couldn't stop what was coming out of a teacher's mouth. You know, like the teacher pulling you to the side saying, you know, you're just not going to pass. You're not going to be able to sit even a BTEC. And that was incredibly frustrating, because it felt like I was trying to bolster you up in the evenings and the weekends, and then they would go back and just trash it all again. And you were there 5 days a week, and that just it just made it so painful, didn't it? So in the end, it got to the point where you were feeling unable to go to school. And then, of course, then we had even more comments, you know, what's your reason this time? And I remember having to explain several times over, not today, not today, not today, this is why, this is why, this is why. And even though potentially it was brushed over me of the threat of fining, I felt angry enough that I would just go back in a very formidable tone going, don't mess with me, I'm a mental health nurse. And not every parent's like that, and not every parent is able to. But I guess I knew what I needed to say as a CAMHS clinician, going, this is not right. You know, this is affecting my daughter's mental health, and unfortunately it's the state of the system. So when we got nearer to the exams, did you ever worry that what's the point of sitting the exams, because I'm not going to pass them and I'm not ever going to get a job, I'm screwed, I'm literally screwed? Did you ever have those thoughts?
Absolutely.
And what were you thinking of?
I don't think I've ever done. Before an exam, I had a full-on breakdown in the school bathroom. And I was like, before safety kind of went up. So the school gates were always open. And I was like, I could walk out right now, and what are they going to do? They cannot, you know, physically hold me and make me sit this exam. You know, because I was like, I'm going to do awful on this exam. And then I went in, and they always say, I don't understand why they say this. So they stand at the front and they go, if you've been given the wrong exam paper, raise your hand. So I was like, I've been given a higher paper. I'm not smart enough for a higher paper. I'm going to fail. I'm like, you know, even if I was good at this subject, I'm going to fail because this is the wrong paper. It's going to be really difficult. So I put my hand up and I said, I've been given a higher paper and I should be on the lower paper, which was a derogatory term anyway. I get that it's education level, it's lower, but it's like, I'm too stupid for the higher paper. I've got the lower one, you know. And this examiner said, oh, well, it's too late to change it now. And it's like, well, then why did you ask if I've got the wrong exam? What was the point of that? And I'm so lucky I did sit that exam, because everybody who I thought was the smart kid went, that exam was really hard. And I sat there going, oh, it wasn't just me finding it hard then. Okay. And because everyone found it so hard, the grades dropped a bit. So I did manage to pass. But going into that exam already thinking, I'm going to fail. And then having that mishap happen, thinking, it's solidified now. I am definitely going to fail. There is no point trying. I could leave this exam paper empty and it would not change anything. So my surprise when I got my exam results, I'm like, I actually passed that, and I got quite a high grade on that. Wow, that's great, you know. But it is so hard. It is so hard because I went to secondary school thinking I know what I want to do with my career when I'm older, and then every year that went past, I kind of had smart kid burnout because I used to be the really smart kid. I used to be that one that you don't get it, go to Yasmin, she'll be able to explain it to you. Or how did you know that? We haven't even covered that yet. I used to be that kid. And suddenly I lost it, and I was thinking, well, clearly I'm not getting it. I'm suddenly really stupid. I just, you know, so I thought, okay, well, these are the careers I'd like to have. And then every year that went past, something would happen where I'd feel like I'm getting dumber. So I was like, okay, so I can't do that career anymore. I've got to turn to something else. You know, and then I had this teacher pull me aside saying, you won't be able to do an A-level. And she told me I was too stupid. She told me. So when I went to sit my BTEC course, and I had my photography teacher say, why on earth are you doing a BTEC? You should be doing an A-level. You're too good to be doing a BTEC. And I'm like, wow, you actually think that, and you teach A-level and BTEC. Whereas my GCSE teacher automatically thought I was too stupid to do it. So he was sat there going, I'm really confused why you're here. You should be in A-level now. And I told him, no, my teacher told me I was too stupid to do that. And he got angry. He got so angry that this teacher had said that to me. He'd never met them, you know. And it was kind of like, so not everybody thinks I'm too stupid, you know. He thought I was talented. He thought I was good at something. And I'm not saying I want loads of compliments and stuff, but when you've had somebody say, you are this, you're not good enough, you are so bad, and then to have somebody go, are they insane? You're really good at this. It's kind of like, oh, I am doing something right then. I am doing something that I should be doing, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of reassuring in a way.
Did you ever get to the point before your GCSEs where you thought, I'm never going to make this and I'm never going to get a job?
Yeah.
And what did you then think? I mean, did you think there's no point, or?
I'm not really sure what I thought. I'd been told so much that I was either stupid or I wasn't getting it. I thought I'm not even going to be good enough for, you know, a job at McDonald's at this point, you know.
Yeah.
So it kind of really led me down a rabbit hole of I'm a waste of space. I'm just, you know, I'm nothing. I'm irrelevant. Nobody would miss me. Why am I still putting myself through this?
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, when I was in that dark place, that kind of negative narrative really didn't help. And I did finally manage to confront said geography teacher, who then threw it in my face of, well, I didn't know you had dyslexia. I didn't know you had autism. And it's like, so it's okay to treat me like that if I don't have those two things. But now that you know that, suddenly it's still my fault because you didn't treat me with common decency. You told me I was stupid, but it's my fault. It's not on my file. Even though I know for a fact you quite a few times said, Mrs. put it on my daughter's file because she is struggling, you know? And it's still like, how is that my fault? I don't have access to the files. Even if it was on the files, I don't think you would have read them anyway, you know?
Right. Somebody's put here, I was school refusal and would have panic attacks at school, especially in English, because my teacher would pick on me to read out loud and answer questions as I was quieter. I used to leave the class to have panic attacks, and she would say, are you sure you can't stay? And then a few years later, she graduated uni as an English teacher. She told me I wouldn't even pass GCSE if I didn't attend her lessons. Proved her wrong. Go you, Sophie. Okay, let's just think about this then, because if you think you know, you and I know your story, but you got to an incredibly dark place saying, what's the point? I'm not going to pass my GCSEs. I'm never going to be able to get a job. How did we get you through this? Because we did one major thing, didn't we? What did we do?
Well, I don't want to say the wrong answer.
Well, how often did you go to school? How often did you go to school?
It kind of helped that I had a broken foot at the time. So I was able to go, I'm going home. I've come in for the mock exam, or I've come in for the really important lesson. I'm going home now. But you know, you said, okay, you don't have to go to school, but you said, I don't care if you do it in your pajamas. You will sit at that dining room table and you will do revision. And you weren't like really horrible about it, like not like a dictator. You weren't do it or else, but you were like, if you're going to be home, that does not mean you're off on your holidays. You're not going to sit around watching TV. You are still going to get up at the same time and do it as if you were at school, but you're like in a more safe environment that you feel more comfortable in. And I think
so my line was very much about, oh, we've both frozen. That's not so good. Go on.
I think that worked for me. You know, unfortunately, I don't think education is quite my calling, because even Sophie saying reading aloud, I don't know that. No. You know, it's even worse when you've got dyslexia and you're reading a couple of like paragraphs ahead thinking, okay, they've read it, it's going to be me. Oh, that's a word I can't read. Oh, really quickly run through all the ways you say it just to make sure I get it correct, because that's going to be so embarrassing if I say it wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And I also had, unfortunately, I had a really nice English teacher, but we had to do those presentations, which was like, what, 40% of our like spoken. And I said to you, I don't know what topic to do it on, because I'm so nervous. I'm not going to be able to do it. And even now, I know I've done it. Like, I did it. It was fine. I think I got an okay grade from it. But I know I stumbled my way through it all, because I was just like, I was getting hot in the face. I was going, I'm going to pass out. I'm going to faint in front of everybody because I'm getting so stressed. And I said to my teacher, could I just do it? You know, can I just do it with us? And she went, no, you've got to do it in front of class. And I went, I've got really bad anxiety. I'm starting to struggle to breathe, and we're just talking about it. Don't be so silly. Everybody gets anxious about speaking in crowds. And I'm sat there going, yeah, you're anxious and my anxious are two very different levels, you know?
Yeah.
So I ended up doing it on mental health, I think.
You did.
And I'm 100% sure my opening line was something comparing mental health to cancer, which sounds really bad, but I was like, cancer's like a really big word. Why is nobody so, you know? So I think once my teacher had heard the topic I'd done and heard my very stuttered kind of jigsaw pieces of information, she was something like, oh, I really shouldn't have made you do that.
Yeah.
And she kind of went, maybe I won't. And she went, well, you did a really good job. And I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't. I made a complete mess of that. So even now, I still absolutely fear public speaking, because I'm so worried it's going to go wrong, or I'm going to say something wrong, which will make me look stupid, or will kind of diminish my opinion on said thing.
I was just thinking if we could just shift it a bit, because we've got, just over 15 minutes left. But once we had established that you were perfectly okay with doing the work from home and going in pretty much, it felt like every other day. There were some good weeks. We had some amazing weeks where you managed to go in 4 out of 5. There were a lot of days where you would either come home early or you would go in late. the school kind of worked quite hard with us after a while to kind of get you just going in as much as you could, but they didn't, once the GP was on board, they didn't then put so much pressure. So you felt a lot better about, okay, I may make an attempt. I may even get through 2 train journeys and still get to, the school gates, but I'm going home again. But fundamentally, you felt more able to finish your education. Now, for a lot of young people, they are in exactly that dilemma right now with parents, and not all young people are able to stay at home on their own doing it because parents are having to work. So we can only go by what our experiences have been and what I know of clients and of my own experience. Now that we know the truth that if you don't attend school, you will never get a job is not true, what's the journey been like? Because you were in such a horrible, horrible place. When you were able to start thinking more positively, what kind of things did we have to think about to get you thinking that you could achieve getting a job? Because it wasn't easy. And also, bless you, you had COVID lockdown kind of sabotaging quite a lot of your attempts. So what kind of things did we do that helped you think that maybe you could get a job?
To be honest, I've lived it. I could not tell you, because I feel like whatever happened, it didn't feel like we were doing it so I would get a job. It kind of felt like we were doing it so I could grow as a person. So
there you go.
To say, what did you do to make sure you could get a job? Because guess what? I was sending out my CV to places thinking, I'm going to get a job outside of the house. And guess what? No, I've now got a job where I stay at home. I've become
you do, the person. But don't forget your experience in between. What did you do?
Honestly, no clue.
Did you work as a volunteer?
Oh, right, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So what did we do? Because what I really like about this is that there is this assumption. It's very final. Is you go to school, you get a job, and it's not like that, is it? You've learned that actually the life skills are absolutely paramount to surviving, and you have done that very successfully. And when we encouraged you to do a little bit more and a little bit more, you felt okay to step up to those challenges and sometimes quite enjoyed dictating, I'm going to have this kitchen the way I want it. Okay. I'm going to have the sitting room with this design. Okay. I'm going to clean the bathroom and have it just like this. Okay. And the amount of times you've moved your bedroom around and the study around and the sitting room around, you know what I mean? You've done all of that, but these have all built in lifelong skills that gave you the confidence. And then, I mean, once you got your head around your budgeting, they were really giving you a huge amount of confidence, but you'd already established some of that skill when you were at school, recognizing that many of your peers were absolutely horrendous with money, or worse still, would go and ask their parents, can I have some money to go out, rather than budget themselves. And so those skills were great, but then what happened? What did you do? How did you get to going to the cancer research? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like,
and I didn't appreciate it.
Come on.
It was a lot like, I'm sure you come up with punishments that an autistic person would not like. So when I was younger, it was, you're going to go to the kids' youth club. And I was like, oh, that's such a bad punishment. I don't want to socialize. And this time you walked me into cancer research, and we'd done a bit of shopping, and we were at the till. And you said to Dawn, do you have a volunteer sheet? And I was like, you haven't got free time. What are you doing? And then you handed it to me and said, there you go then. And I was like, I'm not signing. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You're signing this sheet up. And I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up signing.
Dawn did say you could take it away with you. Dawn did say you could take it away with you. What did you say?
I
You're
know,
dobbing me in.
You said she'll fill it in now because otherwise she won't do it. And I was like, yeah, that was my scapegoat. We'll go home and I'll lose the sheet. I'll forget.
Do you remember how many times we'd visited cancer research before then?
We'd lived for at least a year, at least. So
did we go there every
times,
weekend?
Unfortunately, it's pretty
did we
much.
go there every weekend? Yeah. Did we walk around the shop floor all the time?
I mean, it was. Well, yeah, but that's because we're looking at stuff. Because I have a bad habit of going into charity shops and going, "Oh, new wardrobe."
Did it ever occur to you that we don't need to go and visit that shop every weekend?
Well, no, because sometimes you would say, "I want a new table." So don't try and make out we did it to make me feel comfortable. Like,
this is the interesting part, because actually what we do know is that familiarity is absolutely crucial to us autistic people. We need to be able to feel confident. We need to learn to be able to engage and interact. You've frozen, Yasmin. And so, it's a really powerful experience when you do things regularly. Sophie's added another bit. My attendance was 40% at one point. I'm now self-employed and set up my own business. My parents never put pressure on me to hit certain grades or get a certain type of job. Having no pressure for them definitely helped. And my mum always tells me, I wish I was as creative as you, and made me realize I don't have to get all A's for the type of career I want, which is lovely. I've lost Yasmin, so hopefully she'll come back. Are you back, Yasmin? Oh, there you are.
I'm back. Sorry. Internet went and I was like, oh no.
Slight tech hit. So I was just reading out Sophie's attendance. She was saying she was at 40%, but her parents never put pressure on her. And she's now self-employed, having set up her own business.
Yeah, I mean, that was the other thing with school as well. Not only was it, your exams are coming, you've got 70% attendance. Like, and it was almost like a witch hunt. I'm gonna be burnt alive if I have, this attendance that's not very high. But it was always, they tried to make out that if you had low attendance, it meant you were an unreliable person.
Yeah.
And it's like, I haven't missed time because I want to. I mean, I don't like coming into school. It's not a nice environment for me. But at the same time, I don't do it just to piss you off, because obviously you got told your child's not coming in school. You're going to get fined. And it's like, I didn't do it to annoy everybody. I just,
Yeah.
And then obviously we got the letter from the doctor, and my percentage dropped to, I think it was like 53% or something.
But we kept persevering. Yeah. We kept persevering. Yeah. Just going back to your rather convenient departure from the internet, we were talking about cancer research and spending every weekend for about 18 months going in there, because it was trying to get you feeling very confident about it. And we talked about you being potentially a volunteer. Have you frozen again on me? We talked about potentially being a volunteer, and it took you several months to kind of feel really comfortable about the idea of being a volunteer. And then it took a few more months, and that's why I then said, oh, do you have an application form to complete?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad I've done it. I mean, I obviously don't do it anymore now, but that's because, COVID got worse, just a whole load of reasons why I don't do it anymore. that I got confident enough to actually deal with general members of the public.
Yeah.
I have also now realised I have got a long list as to why I don't like people. But there you go. I don't appreciate having a bag of your dirty clothes thrown in my face, but there you go. I've done it. It's fine. I can now deal with people. It's kind of given me that slight confidence. And I mean, I still occasionally, I said it to you the other weekend. I'm not a meek person, but because I'm on the cusp of being a child but also being an adult, I sometimes still feel like I've got to play the role of respectful younger person. And I'm now starting to get to the confidence level where it's like, actually, no, I am a fellow adult. I'm a fellow adult, so treat me like one. I'm not some child who's just getting in the way. So I have got more confidence to kind of be able to go, you know what, this is my opinion, da-da-da-da-da, not, oh my God, I can't say that because they're going to be angry at me and have a go at me. It's like, you know what? We've all done our same time on the planet, just get out of the way.
Yeah. So that's quite an important part of this journey, isn't it? It's about being given time to think about your strengths, but given time to get through each year knowing that things change, perspectives change, and if you have the confidence to try a little bit and do that regularly, change naturally evolves, doesn't it? Because when you think about the confidence, no, I was just thinking about when you look back to when you were sitting these exams, being told you're not going to achieve, and the art teacher in college looking at you going, why are you not doing A level? We only have to look at your social media platform to go, he saw what I could see. And although you do get very bashful at times, you also have a real knack.
I was about to say maybe you both need to go to Specsavers, but we won't bring that
very
up.
Funny. Very funny. If you hadn't gathered, folks, Yasmin's not great at taking compliments. Somebody else
not
has
from
put,
you.
No. Somebody else has put self-efficacy is so important, which I couldn't agree more. It's really important.
It is so important. And I already know that while my confidence might not be 100% what other people my age confidence is like, I already know by next year I'm going to be more confident than I am right now, and I haven't set it in stone, planned it yet, but there were some things I wanted to be able to try this year to try more out there. So I was debating with maybe in November going for a weekend away by myself to try and get that confidence up, because my main thing that holds me back is I've never done it before. And
yeah.
I understand people will go, well, everybody has to try something once. And it's like, I understand that. I just haven't quite got the confidence to go and full on jump off the cliff. I can't do that yet. I'm kind of teetering on the edge going, oh, it's a bit high. Oh, the water looks a bit deep, but I will.
Yeah. Yep.
They're definitely getting more confident. And we had that issue last weekend where I thought I wasn't going to be able to not pick a fight with somebody. Come to Brighton. I don't mind coming to Brighton. Why not? You've had Lavinia on tour. Let's have Yasmin on tour. I'll come along.
Don't encourage her.
But like I was saying, I didn't want to pick a fight with somebody, but I always thought I'm not going to be able to stand up for myself. And I'm on the phone with this person and they start shouting at me and something washed over me. No, I'm not going to stand for this. And I'm still kind of reeling from that going, oh my God, who was that person? Because that's not me. But I'm sat there going, no, I'm not going to have somebody talk to me this way. That who do you think you are trying to talk to me like that? And I know for a fact, last month, last year, 10 years ago, I would not have had the confidence to say that to somebody. But this time I was like, no, I am done going, oh yeah, sorry, sir, I've really upset you. Oh my God, no, move over. It's time for a more confident me to come out and go, you know what? You've upset me. You're going to hear it.
So if you were to look back, and I need you to kind of just look back at, those last 6 years of your life, what were the pivotal points that helped you get through that horrible nightmare of, if you don't come to school, you'll never get a job? What were the major points that helped you show that it's just a load of nonsense?
It was a bit hard at the time because obviously I didn't know anybody who'd done it.
Right.
But
okay.
I am that person now. So there could be other, autistic people watching this going, oh, somebody has done it. Guess what? I've done it. I've come out the other end. It's not always sunshine and rainbows, but guess what? I'm surviving. I am still, I'm still fighting. I'm fine. Sometimes I feel like, oh God, I've really gone and messed up here. I need has anyone got a redo button? But you know what? It's, next day I'll be like, you know what? I like my life.
So come on, tell us, what are the major things that helped you get from there to thinking this is never going to work and I might as well just give up now, to how you got to here? Because I can think of things that I think helped. So what do you think?
I think it helped. I think it helped that I had a supportive person in my life, even if it's just one person that you can kind of go to and say, look, I don't think this is for me. Because you have so many people going, you have to do it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, you have to do it. You just need somebody else to go, hey, it doesn't work for you.
Okay,
fine. So if this is not your path, we will not go down it. There's no point forcing you.
More distress, yeah. So that's definitely a big pivotal one, and we've got a lot of parents now who are joining that movement of saying to schools and to health professionals, this is it. The road ends here. We are not doing it this way. We are going to do it a different way. So that's one thing. What else do you think was pivotal in getting you feeling more confident?
Being able to put myself in an environment where I felt I could grow as a person, but at my own pace. I wasn't dropped and just, you are going to get on with it. I inched in, and now I'm like, yeah, I used to hate going to Tesco's by myself because it stressed me out and I wasn't confident enough. Now it annoys me when you come with me because it's like, go away. I can do it myself. I don't need you. Go. Leave me alone. Leave me be. And I can do that now. And it's like, yeah, fine. It's like water off the back. Yes, that's normal.
There is that support, isn't there? And that nurturing on many life skills, but then slowly but surely you take over doing them. So those life skills also make you feel empowered and enabled. So that gives you confidence. So, okay, so although I don't have the opportunity to say to all my parents, okay, create your own business and slowly but surely sidle in your child to do something. With you were quite fortunate because you just happened to be there, very good at creativity. And I liked your work. And I was like, do you know what? Can I pinch a few of those? Do you know what? Could you do it a bit more? Do you know what? Could I start paying you a little bit? And at first you found it highly amusing. Like, yeah, all right then. But over time, you have begun to realize your skill. And then only a few months ago, obviously, you were able to do a work experience where you began to see that somebody else outside was viewing your talent as talent. And that has enabled you even more so to be even more direct with me now about, this this is my forte, you're not good at this, I need to help you and advise you, and I'm not going to back down. I said it politely. But these things have worked, haven't they? And
yeah, go on.
no, I'm just saying these things have worked. But the most critical thing about all of this is time, isn't it? You've needed that time to slowly find out what works for you, then try and nurture it and give you the space and the time to kind of just keep going with lots and lots of nurturing. I think those have been quite pivotal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Is there anything you want to add to that before we close?
Don't think I need to add anything, to be honest.
Okay, all right. Now it's Easter coming up. Most people are on school holidays. Do you remember those school holidays? No, she's like, yeah. So we are going to not have anything next week because obviously it's going to be the Easter, and I know that lots of families are trying to go away on holiday, so we won't be expecting you to join us next week. And we probably won't be back the following week, but we will see if we can come up with something juicy for the last week in April. But of course, if we change our minds and think we can come up with something unique before then, we will let you know. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a really lovely Easter holiday, and we will see you soon. Catch us here Wednesdays, 12:15, but not for the next week. Have a good Easter, everybody. Bye now.